Well, hello, that's me again. Today is May 17th. It is, thank God, it's Friday. And I will start with what everybody, talking about in terms of visit of Mr. Putin to China. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of this visit. And it's not just to celebrate 75 years of the establishment of the diplomatic relations between China and at that time Soviet Union, but it's also the fact of the extreme importance in geostrategic terms, especially for the combined West. That's why you will look at the news and Yahoo today, for example, and very few real news about it. They kind of do what usually the Western media do if they don't like something, like, for example, the collapse of the front in the in Ukraine. They just avoid talking about it or move it, like does, for example, New York Times or Washington Post. They move it somewhere, in the last, section of whatever they publish, print, or, even you go to the online editions and you will see yourself. There's, it takes an effort to find what is going on there, and they cannot lie anymore. So they still lie, but they try to frame everything in the, some kind of the acceptable wrap, if you wish, for the Western public, which has to be kept in this, happy ignorance and, being oblivious to what is going on. And a lot is going on, especially in Beijing. And we will start with this. Here we have what his name, spokesman Wang Wenbin of Chinese Foreign Ministry. Actually, it was yesterday, but he explained everything what West needs to know about the situation in relations between Russia and China, and why all those wet dreams of splitting the, this alliance are just absolutely wet dreams. So he says that U.S. directly responsible for emergence, escalation of Ukrainian crisis, and he said that China cannot improve relations with Europe if it will support Russia as, people from the State Department, if it will support Russia at the same time, allegedly fueling the Russian military-industrial complex. So Mr. Vedant Patel, who is in the State Department, has no clue what he's talking about, as it basically applies to most of people there, because they have no clue what they're talking about and what Russian military-industrial complex is, but they continue to press this stupid story that Russians depend on China, on North Korea, on aliens from planet Zoltar to, just expand its economy and develop weapon systems which United States will not have for another 10 or 20 years. And by the time it will have it, they will be obsolete. But here it is. And then Mr. Wang Wenbin comes out and says that, the US with its Cold War era mentality bears an irremediable responsibility for the emergence and escalation of the Ukrainian crisis. There you go. And when you read, actually, I'm not going to be commenting on this, when you read the joint statement by Moscow and Beijing, well, pretty much United States is accused of what is happening in the world today, together with its Western lapdogs like UK. And so, as I know, it's people say, well, you don't have to repeat it. Yes, I will. I have to repeat it, that there are no real strategists in the positions of power and academy in the United States. There are people who understand a lot of things, but they are not in the decision-making circuits. And here we have this guy. And this guy, he served, Mr. Pillsbury, he served as all kinds of the China specialist, in all kinds of administrations, and he evidently wrote number of the books on China. Well, he speaks Chinese, or Mandarin, whatever, so he certainly knows more than me in terms of the internal Chinese dynamics, but he talks actually to Fox News that, big blunder to let China and Russia get close. Pillsbury spoke to Fox and Friends as Russian President Vladimir Putin met with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing on his first foreign trip since inauguration. So, as he said, it's Mr. Pillsbury, it's one of the biggest blunders we'll see in my lifetime. Well, it's not just his lifetime. The whole structure, so to speak, the whole architecture, which was built in global order, which was built around the West's ability to project power, is gone now. You cannot project power. And when you especially concentrate your attention on what Russia and China were discussing in terms of military cooperation, I can tell you right now, without, obviously, I'm not, close to Kremlin, I am not some kind of, insider there. I don't even pretend to be. But I can tell you immediately that actually what was discussed now between Xi and Putin was to give in China enough military tools to make sure that no stupid moves by AUKUS, or that means United States and its lapdogs, including Japan, will happen around the first island chain. And how you can do that? You can provide China with the advanced weapons. And just to explain to you, even Zircon 3M22, I'm not sure Russia will provide that, but just to give some speculation, is that even if it's launched from the ground-based Bastion complexes, its range still 1,500 kilometers. It is longer than the range of the aviation from the air wings of the aircraft carriers. And you know what, they carry those JASSMs, well, yeah, 900 kilometers. So yeah, we're looking at, if there, God forbid, any shootout happens, that most of the surface force of the US Navy and its allies will be sunk. Will Russia go for that? I don't know. So, but I think so, some kind of the transfer of the already combat-proven hypersonic weapons will be discussed, or was discussed. I'm positive it was discussed behind the closed doors in March 2023, when Xi and his massive delegation immediately from the airport, when they visited Moscow, just went for the jugular, so to speak. And there was several hour-long closed door negotiations or exchange of opinions between Putin and Xi and his very narrow teams, including defense ministers. So what they were talking about, yeah, good luck, trying to figure this out. But we can speculate on this, and my speculation is that China needs the combat-proven hypersonic weapons, which to keep the U.S. Navy and whatever the U.S. Navy lapdogs will try to do away from the first island chain. So that's the possibility. But it's not only that. You already saw yourself that there is no ambiguity about a situation between China and United States. And Chinese, while still dependent on U.S. treasuries and, of course, on the trade with the United States, primarily as a market. So there is a decoupling is in the progress. And obviously, when you look at the statistics of the economic cooperation between Russia and China, it grows exponentially, practically. So now we have to go to, how to put it politely, to this guy. And people say, well, you don't have to explain to us, who those people are. But no, I have to. And we have this situation. This was reported by UK Sky News, or as British call it, Sky Spews, which it is. I mean, it's, as I already stated, no normal people work in British media. I mean, I'm talking about the people who go there and work, consciously and, subscribing to the editorial policies. And here we have this clown. His name is, Mr. Michael Clark. I spoke about the guy, but here it is. British broadcaster Sky News has drawn criticism for suggesting that Wednesday attempted assassination, of Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico was to be expected, given the political controversial views and pro-Russian stance. It is worth thinking about who this individual is, a Sky News anchor said of Fico's shortly after he was officially wounded while greeting supporters in the small town of Handlova. Sky News military analyst, he is not military analyst, Michael Clark replied, that would make sense. Slovakia is a very conflicted place at the moment. Well, as I already stated, there is no law to which UK media will not stoop, and especially the bunch of the clowns they parade as the military whatever analyst. And Michael Clark, I mean, the guy is probably the product of their, he occupied all kinds of the positions in the UK Defense Ministry. I don't know why UK has to have the Defense Ministry with its pathetic whatever, the force which passes for armed forces. But I mean, he was also the director of the RUSI, which is Royal United Service Institute. And as I already stated, I don't hold RUSI in any respect. I mean, this is funny organization. They're a bunch of the whiteboard theorists who never commanded anything more than just a real squad of anything. And even those generals, they have no clue about modern war. They don't have the technological background to do that, because you cannot get anything out of, for example, Sandhurst. But here it is, Michael Clark. And just to demonstrate to you who this Michael Clark is, let's recall this guy's, analysis, quote unquote. As you can see yourself, here is the March 18th, 2022. And he's talking about that Ukrainian army is humiliating Russia on the battlefield, with the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin making almost every single tactical mistake, a UK military expert has said. Professor Michael Clark, a former director of the Royal United Service Institute think tank, highlighted the catalogue of mistakes Russian forces have and continue to make during the invasion of Ukraine. Michael Clark wouldn't be allowed to work on the kitchen in the rear of some Russian battalion, so because he is a typical United Kingdom, stacked up, BS, well, let's put it this way. And I very clear on that. I don't think so there are any people in United Kingdom military political establishment who do understand actually what is going on. They are that incompetent. As I already stated, 44 weeks of preparing officers in Sandhurst, it's a joke. It's nothing. I mean, you cannot prepare a real cadre officer, and so you cannot explain it. It's like explaining baboon what calculus is. And the same to Michael Clark, and the same to most people in this Russia. They basically operate within this Chatham House, whatever those, analysts. They haven't been right, I mean, even for once. And so now when we have the situation with Kharkov, and as Mr. Putin today stated that, no, we don't want to take Kharkov, at least he didn't, disclose those secrets or from the general staff, let's put it this way. But yes, I don't see why Russia needs to, take Kharkov right now when it will fall eventually down the road. And as you remember, I showed you the map with the ranges of the Russian weapon system. The main import, so to speak, importance of this Russian advancement is to enclose Kharkov completely into the what is called fire control. Fire control by, as I already stated, things like Lancet drones and obviously Koaliция self-propelled artillery systems. That puts Kharkov and part of its region under complete fire control of Russia, including its ISR complex and what is called Rook and Rock, which is recon strike complexes. So, and that's the point, to dramatically reduce or altogether stop all attacks on the civilian targets. This is, by the way, the level of the operational experience of Mr. Clark. So, and this has been achieved, and Mr. Putin came out today and said, yeah, we're not taking Kharkov right now, but even the, New York Times has to, just grudgingly admit that as Russia advances, NATO considers sending trainers into Ukraine. So this is nothing new. And obviously now everybody talks about how it even caught everybody by surprise, this Kharkov access, that actually Starlink doesn't work, as it was reported even by people from Washington Post. So, and essentially whatever was left of the armed forces of Ukraine on this operational access, they have been blind and deaf. But, so what you have to do when you see yourself, your ass handed to it, on the platter, well, you have to again start talking about sending some trainers. Well, I, again, not gonna say anything new here. There is no person in the NATO, any NATO armed force, which can train anything into the NATO, Ukrainian troops. First, most of those Ukrainian troops who survived, let's say a couple of months, they can teach NATO troops what it is to fight the real war. So how you can get the people who basically never fought anything but the, high intensity police operation in Afghanistan or Iraq to train what? You can train those people, for example, to use firearms, maybe to how to launch a javelin. You can explain what meals are. You can explain to them how to target some things. That's about it. You cannot actually train the maneuvering. You cannot train the in-depth defense. And of course, if you don't have good air defense complexes, you can train nothing. And of course, NYT, because they need to constantly alleviate this butthurt, they said, NATO allies are inching closer to sending troops. They are already there. People in New York Times into Ukraine to train Ukrainian forces, a move that would be another blurring of the previous red line and could draw the United States and Europe more directly into the war. No, it will not draw United States directly into the war, because United States and people who are especially middle operational level, as I already constantly state, all those colonels and brigadier generals, they know the United States has no resources and no ability to even assemble any kind of force. And if they want to start with, shooting ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads at Russia, you can bet your butt that obviously the things will fly back. And nobody wants that. So, and they say, Ukraine manpower shortage has reached a critical point, and its position on the battlefield in recent weeks has seriously worsened as Russia has accelerated its advance, and so they want to train another 150,000 new recruits. This is the demoralized force, most of which have been swept from the streets of Ukrainian cities and villages, and yeah, the moral factor there, which by the way is calculable, not very high. And it's, as already stated, in terms of Kharkov, it's all propaganda on the Ukrainian part, and Russians, of course, came up with this meme, and this meme is well, it is funny, definitely, because this is how Ukraine presents its constant rolling back. And as you can see yourself, to the most right with the, pink map where Russians control the territory of Donbas republics and Zaporozhye and Kherson, they call it unfavorable position. Now, to the left, close to Kiev, it's more favorable positions. And of course, as you can see yourself, next to the Poland, they will be the most favorable positions for the Ukrainian forces. This is a Russian meme, but it does reflect the dynamics. And if you go to WAPO, they say, Russia seizes more land than Ukraine liberated in 2023 counteroffensive. Well, as I already stated, Ukraine liberated nothing in 2023. It was kept into the what is called operational zone or security zone by American tactical documents and operational documents. In Russia, it's called predpolye or for a field. This is where they want you to basically deploy, build yourself the columns and start going towards your defensive position, and that's where you're gonna be killed. Well, so Ukrainian forces during this counteroffensive, which was an unmitigated catastrophe, disaster for all those planners and Pentagon and NATO, they basically took several villages there, moved, in some point they moved into depths up to 10 kilometers, but they never reached first line of defense of Russian defensive positions, which is called wrongly Surovikin line, when in reality it was Stavitsky line. So there you go. But they have to constantly, accept this fact. They have to spin it, and it doesn't matter. And that tells you also how stupid those people are. Those guys who never fought a real army in ages, and when they did, well, even not real army, they lost all their wars. They lost their battles, many of them. So they suddenly begin to talk about this square mileage or kilometrage, if you wish. What is it? What they, liberated and all that. Sure, make no mistake. In operational reports, you do put those numbers. For example, we advanced 10 kilometers in depth. We liberated this in this square mileage. What they have been always missing. And that is why when I talk about the strategies, there are no real strategies. They don't understand what was happening from the get-go. That once the negotiations in Istanbul collapsed due to interference by the United States by the way of British moron Prime Minister Boris Johnson in April. That's when the real war started, and that's when Russians introduced their actual long-term strategy, and they never lost the operational initiative. And the strategy was, as we already know, and it has been proven with the devastating effectiveness and success, actually, is the physical annihilation of the mobilizational potential of Ukraine and, of course, its curators from the West, namely NATO. And by God, Russia achieved that now. And so what you have now, you have this squealing from all corners of this crappy, media. And as I already stated, I don't know, in New York Times, probably CIA, or Washington Post is CIA. I don't remember who represents what, but you have those nincompoops who never studied anything. They never studied history. They don't know history. It's all confabulated, most of it anyway. They don't understand what tactics is. But, well, they maybe understand tactics. They don't have no clue what operational art is and how strategies are developed, how resources are matched to the strategies, how the timetables are developed. And so now they are very sad, because we have this situation. But in general, on Kharkov, the main purpose, as I already stated many times before, it is indeed, which was very clear, to move the line, to create this a little bit of buffer zone, to free Belgorod and Kursk primarily from the danger of being attacked, civilian targets. For the rest, there is air defense, and even civilian targets are extremely well defended, and, once in a while hitting the apartment block. If they call it the military success, we really have to think seriously who those people are, especially like Sky Spews, which actually, well, implicitly supports the fact that Mr. Fico was shot because he's pro-Russian and he was against sending weapons to Ukraine. The problem is, at this stage, it doesn't matter what they send. And if that hasn't been enough, so New York Times continues with these trainers, they just say, they talk about potentially dragging America into war, and we already discussed the fact that America cannot be dragged into the war because whatever will be dragged in will be annihilated within a very short period of time. And for the United States to even try to fight Russia with any degree of success in terms of not being annihilated, it will take, I don't know, a year, a draft, a million plus size force. Yeah, good luck with that. So, and when that, if that hasn't been enough, just to demonstrate to you what is happening in Europe, we have this situation. Okay, I mean, what the hell, people? Europe is completely just, rolls into oblivion. And German politician video of leaking public toilets goes viral. The Free Democratic Party FDP candidate for the district of Ostalb was seen putting his face inside the toilet and also leaking toiletries, including a brush present there, according to Times Now. So, you know what? Yeah, this is the pretty much, political elite in the West. I mean, not all of it, but certainly a significant part, especially when you look at the Satanism which is happening was happening in the Eurovision 2024, which has to be simply disbanded. This is indeed pure and simple Satanism there. So we have this guy, and he is, well, now he obviously, after it all went viral, he has been kicked out of the party, but compare this to this. Look at this. This is the kid, he's 26 years old. A few days ago, this video went completely viral. There was this senior lieutenant. He's an officer, actually. Looks very boyish. He's 26. And look at his chest. Hero of Russia. Order for courage, and they incorrectly typed that a soldier of the Russian armed forces who introduced himself as a clerk shot down Leopard and Bradley. Well, he didn't shoot down, but actually 27-year-old Ivan Zharsky, who introduced himself as an exhibition of captured equipment in Moscow as a scribe, actually accomplished the feat by destroying a Leopard tank and several Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, all in one day by moving in a position with his senior lieutenant. He probably is the deputy commander of the company, but he most likely was operating with what is called Расчет, the small force which mans the Cornet type system. So yeah, and this is what they did. And when they asked him, do you see this guy? No tattoos, no, all those cool looking gadgets and everything. Just typical, Russian kid from somewhere, but he graduated, as you can see yourself. He graduated from the Kazan Cadet School. This is the school for the young kids up to high school. For example, your 10th and 11th grade of the regular public school, you are actually serving and studying in the military school. And this is not some kind of academy which Mr. Trump graduated. Those cadet schools are already, by the time you are there as a school guy, school child, essentially, you already know how to use weapons. You have the basics for the tactics and things of this nature. It's very serious. You also shoot the live weapons and things of this nature. So after that, he went to the Mikhailovsky Military Academy, St. Petersburg. So, but look at this, not a single, hint on a bravado or chest thumping, pardon me. And so this is the people they want to fight. I mean, good luck with that, guys, So, and in the conclusion today, because I am, since we're talking about Russia and China, and Russian GDP actually has been upgraded, the forecast to 5.4% yearly, and they are talking about physical economy primarily, which is the only way to measure it. And look at this. To conclude it, this is the 2020 data, but it actually gives you a little bit of the insight why Russia does what she does and produces some of the weapons and does so well. Well, guess what? We can see here it's top countries by number of state STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and whatever generally the high precision sciences. So we have in natural sciences, we have that in terms of the graduates as a percentage of overall graduates. As you can see yourself, China produces 41%. This is their almost, well, not per capita, the share. In Russia is the second with 37 of the all graduates being people of engineering and fundamental science degrees. Well, Germany is near, but it's, how to put it politely, it's not that great. So, as you can see yourself, the United States produces only 20% of people with STEM. Guess who all those 20%, well, maybe 10 of them are actually American guys and girls. The rest of it are the foreign students. So, and when you look at this, that also explains to you why when you go to the BSBCGS, this is one of the hedge fund type things, and they talk about the core driver of GDP impact and economic risks. And they talk about what is happening in the United States. that the engineering talent in particular is in a short supply in the United States, with a growing gap between supply and demand that puts the progress of important industries at risk and threatens to have a tremendous negative impact on the economy, equal to nearly 40% of the projected GDP impact of all talent gaps expected in the US through 2030. How to put it politely? Yeah, the issue is this. Look at this. And this is what I'm gonna, finish my communication to you guys today. You see this? U.S. measures with the highest unemployment rates. As you can see yourself, the part unemployment, art history, liberal arts, fine arts. When you look unemployment rate, it's kind of plus minus, but it is underemployment rate which matters here. Remarkably, for some reason, physics is underemployed in the United States, but whatever. And as you can see yourself, most of it with the surprising issue of the aerospace engineering, but then again, don't let me start on Boeing. You can see yourself that those are, most of them are not STEM professions, and they are really underemployed because there is no actually demand for that realistically. And because, people even without any kind of college degree, if they have good brains, they can fully, fill those positions. And that explains to you why Russia is already, who knows, that people say S-600, S-700, and when you look at the industrial output of Russia and China, is so much high tech, unbelievable. So, and some of it is absolutely extremely advanced, and that trend will continue, sadly, for the United States. And unless we have some kind of the instinct for the self-preservation, which might happen in the United States. In Europe, I doubt it. So, and then we are screwed, guys. So, but it's Friday, so at least you can, get the good news about this. And this is what I wanted to tell you today. And as always, guys, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or Buy Me or Ko-fi too. And have a nice weekend, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.